Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Angry Chicken. I am Garrett Weinzerl, and with me, as always, is Willie Dills Gregory, and calling on her phone, in case you're wondering where her super sexy microphone is Jocelyn Moffat. Welcome back, guys.
Hello, hello.
You're moving.
I am moving. I am literally the only piece of furniture I really have left in my house is my bed. So I'm sitting here on my bed, on my phone, calling in with the notes on my iPad, and as the theme music is playing, I feel like I'm just sitting here listening to the podcast. I'm like, oh no, wait, I have to talk now. Crap.
How often do you listen to your own podcast?
Well, not too often.
This
I'm
would
just
be the
sitting
first
here
time.
with the earbuds, and yeah, exactly. I feel very relaxed right now. Normally, I'm like super pro, and I'm just like, sitting here, pajamas on. It's awesome.
Nice. I'm rocking some very comfortable Star Wars pajama pants because it's actually what we call cold in Florida at the moment.
It's cold everywhere for whatever reason. Like, it's cold here. Everyone else in the rest of the country keeps complaining about how cold it is.
It's actually pretty hot up here.
Is this El Nino? Is this what El Nino does?
I think so. I don't know. It does some real weird weather stuff, but
All right,
it's
I'm going
actually
to blame
hot
this
up
on
here.
El Nino. Oh, really? Okay, well, if it's hot in Canada and cold in Florida, then this is all El Nino's fault, clearly.
I'm not sure that's
all over the place.
I'm not sure that's how El Nino works. I'm also not sure that it affects that large of a landmass at the same time. But we'll go with that.
Tech does science.
Exactly.
Science?
Oh, man. Haven't heard one of those in a while.
Yeah, there's been a lot of science going on lately, though.
There has.
A lot of new cards that do some crazy things, and you have to figure out. Like, I just had a whole thing. This might be a little off topic, but aren't the battle cry minions supposed to come out before the main minion comes out? Right? Like, this is a whole thing, because there was a whole thing about how Sacred Trial kills Dr. Boom if you have one creature on board, right? And we talked about this on the show, I think. So the Boom bots come out, hit the board, then Boom comes out, so then the Sacred Trial kills the Boom. So I'm playing a mill deck, Brother Brann Mill, which is the new mill deck, and I'm like, all right, if I vanish here, Dr. Boom should die because the Boom bots technically came out first, but no, the Boom bots died and Dr. Boom went back in the guy's hand. So I don't know how this all works, man. This is. I think we're gonna have to call Disguised Toast to do a video on like inconsistencies in the Brother Brann Mill deck.
I think we may need to, because that is one of the things that kind of irks me in Hearthstone quite often is these kind of inconsistent rules.
Yeah, everything should work the same way. If the boom bots come out first, then the boom bots come out first, right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with you, Dills. I agree with you.
I had to kill Dr. Boom like 3 times. It was really annoying. And I was like, no, he's supposed to be dead now. So mill decks are weird. Just in case anybody doesn't know.
Brann Bronzebeard is weird. We have when we get to our strategy discussion tonight, we're actually going to go through quite a few little points and tidbits of Brann Bronzebeard science. But actually, you know what? I need to dust off our little Dills clip.
Science.
The one where you totally.
Wow, I really peaked on the mic on that one.
Oh yeah, that was like 40 episodes ago. So I think that also might have been during one of the times you were calling in from your prison closet at your job.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
So
Prison closet.
Yeah. Which I don't ever have to go into ever again. Look at this. It's amazing.
Woo!
Yeah.
Just got you and
every day. It's crazy, man. It's crazy times we live in.
It's gonna be Dills calling in from his comfortable green sheet from now until the end of time.
Yep. Forever and ever, the green sheet. Although I'm super pissed. You know, I got one of those awesome chairs, right?
Yep.
The left arm has broken off.
What?
It makes gaming incredibly frustrating. It was like, I could feel that it was like loosening up a little bit, but I was like, oh, there's just a bolt underneath. So like one of these days I'll just tighten that bolt. And then at some point on Friday during Whiskey Gamers, it just snapped off.
Wait. I feel like there's probably a big gap in this story because it's during Whiskey Gamers.
I didn't do anything outside of playing a video game in a chair. Like that's
sure.
what I was doing.
Sure thing,
The moment
Dills.
it broke, I was playing a video game in a chair. Nothing out of the
it just fell off. It just it had had enough. It didn't want to be attached anymore, and it gave up.
Were you?
I didn't deal with the problem fast enough. Is what I think happened. Like I should have immediately gone. Okay, it's getting loose. I need to turn this thing over. Screw that puppy in. But I think I just let it chill. And it was like, nope, I don't want to chill like this. I don't want to be a loose arm. I want to go. And it left.
That's quite terrible. I'm sorry to hear that, Dills.
It's sitting on the ground.
Oh, there's got to be a way you can fix it. It's got to be a way you can fix that.
I'm sure I can. I bet if I call the company or something, they'll be able to do something.
You haven't had that long. There's got to be a warranty on that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, these are expensive chairs, man.
Yeah. Like I've got a really cheap chair I stole from my mom, like, and it's still holding together. I would think that's something that fancy. It literally looks like you stole like the chair out of my car, and that's what you decided to put on casters and use as an office chair.
Yep, that's what I used to have, and then I upgraded, and then it broke. I wish I had that old chair back now.
Nice,
but stuff like my left arm is just hanging now. Nothing to hold it up.
Oh man. Well,
it actually does make gaming a little bit tough. I will say this. Like my left arm was getting tired playing Overwatch. Maybe because I played it for 18 hours straight, but probably because of the missing arm on my chest.
I would say it's probably both. Mostly the time spent, but a little bit of both.
Yeah, Overwatch weekend was the funnest thing.
Before we get into the news this week, we do have an announcement to make. Starting next Monday, the Angry Chicken is going to be recording live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going significantly earlier than we have in the past because, well, Dills, you and Jocelyn, both of you, you're taking a crack at this stuff full time. So we're changing the time because now we don't need to be up so damn late doing this.
Exactly.
Which is really funny because now I don't have a day job to go to at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and now we're doing the show early.
Yep.
Yeah, like you could stay up late now, but yeah.
Exactly.
But why
I
do
could
that
be up until like 4
to?
a.m.
Well, you know.
See, now you do the show, then you stay up late, and it's all fine.
You know, one of the three of us still has to get up in the morning for work, okay? You know.
That seems silly. I don't understand that anymore. No, I get up. I still get up early every day. I work from here. It's not like I'm not going to work, period. I'm just working from here. But I'm working the same exact hours. So
yeah.
But it means I'm done earlier. So that means we can start earlier and the Europeans get to hang out.
Hell yeah. I'm really stoked. And also, while we're talking about schedules, no Brawl episode this week because Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Dills and I are celebrating it like good Americans. And Jocelyn is, I don't know. Moving. Yeah, moving.
That's my actual legitimate
we'll mail
my
you
apartment day.
We'll mail you some American turkey so you can enjoy.
Yay!
Like you'll land and
I'm sure that'll work.
Yeah, there'll be some.
I don't see any problems with this, especially if you put some gravy on it.
Yeah, you should probably put some gravy
mail,
and cranberry sauce on it before putting it in the mail, for sure.
Exactly.
Because you can't get that stuff in Canada. They just have maple syrup. They don't have gravy. Anything that we put gravy on, they put syrup on. Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty sure that's how that works.
Wonderful. Well, now that that's out of the way, let's talk some news.
Good news, everyone!
I don't know, guys. What do you think the big news is this week?
I don't really think there was any news.
There's nothing to talk about.
Hearthstone really happened. No one needed to play. They're all playing Overwatch.
Yeah, everyone's playing Overwatch. Oh, surprise! It's week 2 of League of Explorers, which means UldaMAN is here. It's here, guys. I don't know how much you missed that amazing 5-man from World of Warcraft. I know I did.
UldaMAN was my jam, dude. It actually was kind of fun back in the day. But yeah, this continued the incredible storytelling of League of Explorers, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I distinctly remember just randomly stumbling upon UldaMAN back in Vanilla WoW before we had guides of everything and being like, oh man, what is this place? Oh crap, super angry trogs.
Yeah, and they brought back the trogs for this. We had a randomized, what was it? There was the minecart, right? It was the second boss. And it literally was just fighting trogs.
Yep, it was nothing but trogs.
Yeah. It was actually, so I did it the first try super easily on my NA account, and like people in the chat were like, "Oh my god, you did it on the first try. This was so hard for me." And I was like, "I don't see why." And then I went on my EU account, and it took me like 3 tries. I was like, "Oh, I get it. Sometimes they just get nothing but 6/6 trogs, and there's no way to win. So it's completely random."
Yeah. But it was once again really fun, very different. It was similar to the Temple Escape from last week, where there is no face to hit. It's all about staying alive and finding ways to move the turns ahead if you can.
Yep, pretty much. But it's you have a hero power that deals 3 damage randomly to a minion, an enemy minion. So it'll always hit a Trog. And you get random cards that are completely different every time. So you don't even use your own deck. You get like cards that do 3 damage to the board, 10 damage to something, heal you for 10, like all that kind of stuff. And that's all randomized as well. So if people are having a hard time, just quit. If it's like you're behind, just quit and start over. Eventually, you'll just get the right draw in the right order.
Yeah, I did it really easily on my first try as well. Didn't realize that that you could just kind of brick in the random elements of it. That sounds frustrating.
If you did it on the first try, you'll never do it again, right? Like you're just done now.
Well, got to go through on heroic because I need that card back. It is sexy.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay,
I need it, man. It's the first time. It's the first time I'm going to do heroic.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Excited. I'm excited to hear how it goes for you.
That says I keep saying I'm going to do it.
Have you done the first wing already?
I was just about to get to that. And, I keep talking all this stuff. I've yet to actually start it because I'm still just not that interested in heroics.
You got time.
You have big dreams. Big dreams.
I must have that card back, but first I must muster the give a cares about heroic in the first place.
It's actually pretty fun. Like once you sit down and you try to like solve the puzzles. I mean, you if you wait long enough, you'll be able to just net deck your way through. And some bosses might be a little harder than others because you might have to get a little lucky.
Right.
But people will have solved the puzzle for you. But I think it's really fun to like try to do some of it yourself and just see if you can come up with ideas that'll work.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just also I've just been wanting to try the new decks with the new cards every week. So it's like it's hard to.
I can't wait to be done and just move. Like even the class stuff pops up and I'm like, more stuff. I just want to go play.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even think of a good analogy. It's like you opened your Christmas presents and then it's like, hey, you know how excited for these you are? Why don't we repackage them in a significantly harder to open box? And let's see if you can get through that. Sound good? Cool. But
I mean, it's all the other stuff outside of the random one is all again super easy to get through, mostly on your first try. I will say that mid-range paladin generally works. But I think the last guy, it was Arcadis.
mm-hmm.
You want some sort of a buff deck for him. Because he gives you 0-2 stone dudes each turn, 1 to each of you guys. So you just want to play like a druid with Savage Roar and you just win.
Oh, wow.
Pretty easy.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Seems pretty simple.
Yeah. Outside of that, I think mid-range paladin is just like the way to go with like all the bosses. Because you just generally put down good minions every turn, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been that's the first deck I always try a new boss with. Is just I don't know how this really plays out yet. Haven't seen it yet. Let's just go in with mid-range paladin. And so far with this adventure, it's just worked out every time.
Yeah, you just win.
Yeah, I found the same. I've been playing just my mid-range hunter, and it's the same sort of thing. I think anything that's kind of a
similar.
mid, yeah. Yeah, it
I think
is
where you
very
put down a
similar,
strong
so.
minion and like turns 4 through 7, you'll do pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did have some trouble with Scarvash though. He threw me off. It took me I think 2 or 3 times to beat him, and I was like, he's the one that flips the cost of your spells and your minions. Yeah. And then the first time I went in, I didn't get it.
He starts flipping your minions, I think, too, right? Which makes it hard to play something on turn 1. You like can't actually play something.
Yeah, it rotates. It increases the cost of spells, increases the cost of minions, and just back and forth for the entire game.
Yeah, but the fact that it starts with minions means you never play something turn 1 because unless you're killing something of his, but you always go first. So unless you're like turn 1, I don't know, mirror images or something like that, like you're just not doing anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess you could get that to work maybe somehow. I don't know.
Like, take the zombie chows out of your deck for that fight if you're having.
Yeah. There's no point to have 1-drops, and then as the game moves on, you're just kind of always playing from behind.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the thing. I think it was like if you were going to build a deck, you would build like odd numbered spells and even numbered minions in terms of mana cost, and then that way you would always be able to play your stuff on your normal curve.
Interesting. I guess I could see that. People in the chat are giving some ideas. Living Roots. Living Roots is a great idea. Yeah, Living Roots get 2/1/1s right away. Secret Pally play a secret, like Avenge or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Either way, though, I don't know. It didn't matter to me that I missed my 1-drop. I still just like crushed them.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have too much of an issue with it either. So, I mean, obviously, a lot more cards were introduced this week. You guys have any favorites?
Do you guys find it overwhelming at all? I feel like, especially when I beat the last boss and there's like 4 things that pop up, I'm just like, oh my God, right, this one and then this one. And oh, how am I going to use that? Like, is this good or bad? Like, I feel like because there are so many cards in this adventure, I'm constantly overwhelmed with like, I don't know where to start almost every week with like what kind of decks I want to play. It's all over the map.
Yeah, I just pick a few cards and I just go like for this one it was like, oh okay, I'm definitely gonna do like an Overload Shaman with a Tunnel Trog. I'm definitely gonna do a Beast Druid with the Unearthed Raptor, or not the Mounted Raptor. So many Raptors.
I was gonna say we even got two.
Yeah.
We got 2 Raptors this week, even like.
And then of course the Death Rattle Rogue with the Unearthed Raptor, and then Brann, of course. And like that was, I was like those 4 cards. I think outside of that, everything else not that interesting to me yet. Some of them are very good, I think, in Arena. And I guess the Paladin card is interesting. I don't know. Maybe Garrett, you played with that, so maybe you can tell us if that actually is good or not.
I actually haven't messed with Paladin this week. I was so damn excited about Tunnel Trog. I've been trying out all of these face shamans that have been going around,
which are really good. I just on stream before the show went 9-1 with the deck that Raynad was playing on his stream. Except I traded out the what's the dude that gets bigger with Overload cards? Something something
Unbound Elemental.
Unbound Elemental. Yeah, I took him out and I put in Piloted Shredders because he just seemed too slow. It just seemed like a lot of times, like on turn 4, I didn't have a play because there's no other 4 drops. And to do him, I would have to play like him plus an Overload card, and then I couldn't play Doomhammer on 5, so I was like, nah, I'll just put in Pilot Shredders, and that seemed to work pretty well. But it's a really, really, really tight deck, and just does damage. Just does face damage.
Yeah. Which is just it's weird to think about it, with the history that Shaman has had. I mean, obviously, I guess we had Mech Shaman, which was hyper aggressive as well.
Sure.
But this just feels very different.
Yeah, well, the Mech Shaman, I think, had like a tougher time always getting the opening that it wanted, right?
Right.
And then you were relying on like a Fel Reaver to actually get some damage in, and a lot of times the Fel Reaver might backfire, or they might just play a Sludge Belcher, and you had nothing like to do anymore. You just were never going to hit face again. So this deck seems to have more burn in it, more just straight burn spells that go past the creatures and stuff.
Yeah. There's lots of spells. You've got Doomhammer in there. I'm digging it.
Yeah, it's some of the games felt gross because But
I felt so bad playing this deck.
Yeah, like some of the games I was just like, oh well, I just drew like a bunch of 1-drops, and then I drew a bunch of damage, and then I killed you really fast.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I think the deck has a lot of interesting decisions to be made around turns 3, 4, and 5, because you're always thinking about overload. So you have to plan the next few turns a lot to really maximize your damage. So even though it looks to the naked eye like a deck with no skill, I felt like I had more really, really tough decisions in the deck than I did with, like, say, Face Hunter. Or Face Hunter, you're like, yeah, on turn 1 I do something, and then I hit your face on turn 2 and 3 and 4, and I'll hit your face. This one you had to, like, make the right trades at the right time, right? So
yeah, I agree, and it might be my shaman bias, but I think as far as all of the hyper aggressive decks that have come and gone over the course of Hearthstone, this one seems to have the highest, I feel like, skill ceiling, just because of the overload mechanic, just because of the way it functions.
And the randomness, which leads me to my question to you, Garrett. Is Crackle in your version?
Of course it is.
All right.
It's a card I hate, but I understand why it's good.
Playing Crackle.
This isn't the first time. This is like the 7th or 8th time I've thrown Crackle in a shaman deck.
He plays it, but he doesn't have to like it.
I play it. I just wish it didn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, when I had a bunch of lethals where it's like, all right, if this first Crackle hits for 5 or more, then the second Crackle hits for 4 or more, I will win. And then, like, it happened. And you're like, all right.
Yep.
So that's exciting, but I get what you're...
You have those games where you don't... Are you running, I'm assuming... I haven't seen Raynad's version. I was running Luffy's version.
Yeah.
Is it running Ancestral Knowledge?
No.
Oh, okay.
There's like no draw at all. Everything just does damage to the face.
Okay, gotcha. So the version I'm running does have ancestral knowledge, but I've had a lot of games where I don't draw those, and like you can feel. I'm sure you've had those games where you feel yourself starting to run out of steam, and you're just like, well, I need to just throw this crackle at the face and hope it sets me up for lethal. In the next turn or two.
So yeah, your deck is this is much more of an overload shaman. So Reynad's version is like a combination, and I don't know if it's necessarily specifically his, but I think he was playing it on his stream, and there was like 30,000 people watching. So
no, man, so many decks get made so fast, and everyone starts playing each other's stuff and tweaking it. I was trying to find where we're going to talk about more decks and strategy today. I was trying to find where they all originated to give proper credit to everyone. It's just impossible.
It's impossible.
I don't know where these decks came from at this point.
So the one that Reno was playing is kind of a mix of overload and mech, and there's pretty much no draw, and but you get like the Cogmaster, Annoyotron, Mech Warper, Spider Tank opening sometimes, that just like overtakes the board, and then you also sometimes get the Tunnel Trog into Totem Golem opener sometimes, which is another like fantastic. So it's like there's a lot of good openers to mulligan for, and then essentially you just want to draw into your Crackles, your Lava Bursts, your Power Mace, your Doom Hammer, Rock Biters to actually finish people off, right?
Yeah.
So you go for like a big opener, and then your hand is completely empty, and then you just top deck Crackle and you win. That's kind of the point of the deck. But it works surprisingly well. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now. Okay, cool. So it still has a little bit of, or quite a bit of the mech in it, which makes me immediately.
I think it's 10 mechs total, and then a bunch of burn stuff outside of that.
That immediately makes me not want to play the deck because I hated mech shaman so much.
It's really good though. I'll just recommend give it a try.
It's significantly more consistent because man, I felt so many times it's just like, oh, I didn't draw right. I guess this game is an instant loss.
Yeah, there's less overload too. I'm looking at Luffy's deck, and there's just a ton of overload in this deck. So this deck relies on getting a Trog, I'm pretty sure, turn one. A lot of the time. Although you have an Earthshock in here, so
yep.
You're not as prone to losing to a single Sludge Belcher as Reynad's deck is. There's a couple times they put Sludge Belcher down, and I was like, if I don't draw perfectly something or my Crackle actually kills the first half of this, like I have no way to win.
Yeah.
But that's how, I don't know, that's how an aggro deck should work, right? It shouldn't be able to kill everybody no matter what they do. That's what
that's true.
Like
but
a Sludge Belcher should be a problem.
But I like to hedge my bets.
Yeah, no. That's
so, but other than that, yeah, I don't know. I've been enjoying Brann Bronzebeard. He's kind of fun. I don't feel like he's setting the world on fire like Reno did, but he's definitely interesting.
There's some crazy stuff though that I didn't really even think about, like the creature buffs and things like Defender of Argus and stuff like that. Everyone was so tied up with buffing things by 4 with abusive sergeants or healing to 16 with heal bots and stuff.
Which is
nobody
really
thought about all the little ones that are so valuable.
Yeah. That double antique heal bot heal though, man, that is very effective.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's like you don't have to run one ofs to play Reno. You just run Brann and a heal bot.
Yeah,
and you'll always get that combo at some point.
Yep,
it felt like it anyway. But I ran the Brann mill deck, which was very difficult to play. If you don't like thinking a lot, don't play it. It's just so many hard turns. You have to keep track of everything. You have to keep track of your hand, their hand, your deck size, their deck size, what like threats they still have left, what you've already milled. It's a lot, dude. It's a lot.
I have a question. Have either of you played Arena this week? Because last week, looking forward to this week, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to try out Warrior and see if I can't find some fierce monkeys.
Yeah.
And then this week came, and I've just been too excited about the new shaman toys to mess with Arena. But yeah, I'm curious if you guys gotten in, if you feel that it's kind of helped the field there.
I have, but I haven't played Warrior.
Oh, okay.
And I still haven't seen Warrior.
I was gonna say, did you see anyone playing Warrior?
I still think people don't think Warrior's that good. It's definitely a good card, and I also think the other card, the 7/7 that pops out 1/1s, is pretty good, and they're both common. That being said, I still think people just don't think of Warrior as good enough to play. I don't think it's like made a dent when you're talking about like how good Shaman, Rogue, and Mage are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot more has to happen than a monkey. Maybe 2 monkeys. They just needed 1 more monkey. If we'd have gotten
Golden monkey.
Golden monkey. Maybe that'll be the card. But yeah, I don't think it's shifted the meta quite as much. I will say that I've watched some Ratsuma and Adwakta and Crip and some other people play and Hafu play Arena. It seems like the good players are crushing right now. Like they're just getting insane win rates right now, and it may be because a lot of people are playing it, and it may just be because they're better at dealing with new cards. But the meta has maybe, or it could be the meta slowed down quite a bit with some of these cards that have come and the TGT cards on top of it, and it's gotten to a place now where the better players over a long period of time, like a bunch of turns, are going to win more often. So it's not like GVG was where everybody smoked you down in Arena. The Arena meta is super slow.
Yeah. So okay, well I guess moving on. The other kind of big thing to note this week is that we're not getting a new League of Explorers wing this week.
Oh yeah, that's
right. Since it is going to be Thanksgiving in the U.S. This Thursday, the third wing is going to be delayed until the following week. So that gives us 2 full weeks to really put our heads together and develop some absurdly weird brand decks.
Yeah, it's going to be the Brann Reno meta for a while. And I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. What about you guys? I think
I love
I'm
it.
Loving where Hearthstone is right now.
I really do. I've seen a lot of different types of decks on the ladder, and I'm not even sure what they are anymore. Like I don't see like a class, and I'm just like, oh, it's just going to be this archetype. I know it's going to be. I'm seeing a lot of crazy stuff. I'm still seeing a lot of Reno even after week 2. But I'm still seeing plenty of new stuff, thanks to I'm seeing Paladins running Keeper of UldaMAN. I'm seeing lots of these hyper aggressive shaman out there, which is hilarious because last week we were talking about how much everything is slowed down. It seems like every deck we were seeing is super slow, and this week both Zoo and a new type of face shaman has kind of cropped up.
Yeah, I didn't like the Zoo deck though. I really did not like the new version of Zoo. I guess you could just kind of play a more standard version, but the Zoo decks that I've been seeing are ones that are kind of board flooding Zoos.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't feel good to me. It felt like too easy to counter. You don't have a Bloodlust. You don't have a Savage Roar. You don't have any like way to like suddenly do a bunch of burst damage. So I don't know. I had way more fun with my Dreadsteed Reno lock. That deck is, I think, the best deck ever. That is the funnest deck you'll ever play in your life. Like I laugh out loud moments playing that deck.
It is a fun deck. I don't mind the new Zulok, but I'm with you. It's like there's quite a few Paladins out right now. It's like a well-timed consecration can ruin your day, as well as pretty much any other board clear from most of the other classes.
Yeah, Joss, what are you playing right now? Are you playing Mage still, or are you trying some new stuff?
I was trying the face shaman actually, which was really weird for me because I haven't played a hyper aggressive deck in a really, really long time. Everything that I've been playing has been really like mid and control-y and real late game big bomb type threats. And so to switch to face, man, it's weird.
Yeah,
so weird. Like I
want to kill the minions, right? But sometimes you just don't do that.
Most of the time you just don't do that, and I'm just like, oh man, but that minion that could get out of control really fast. And then I'm like, but if I just go face, I can kill him in 2 turns. Even if this minion gets like 10 attack, it still can't kill me as fast as I can kill this guy. And it's just such a weird mindset. But I completely agree with you, Garrett. Like I find the ladder so much more fun right now, and I mean I haven't had a whole lot of time to play this month. Like November's just been crazy, so the fact that like I can go on ladder, I'm at rank like 15, I think, and I'm just like running into like every single person is playing something different. I've seen all kinds of different classes and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, it feels like in Hearthstone right now, everybody's playing. Like, and I don't mean like sitting down and playing the game. I mean like they're in the game and they're just playing around, goofing off, like just trying all kinds of crazy different things. And as much as it feels like people are net decking, it also feels like they really, really aren't. Like, there's probably a lot of crazy stuff being thrown around by the pros, but at the same time, it's just like everyone is just like, hey, this thing sounds crazy and fun, and I'm just going to try it. So it seems like there's a lot of people experimenting and just having fun in Hearthstone right now, and I think Hearthstone has been missing the fun for quite a while, and I'm glad to see it back.
Yeah. I think the pros, too, are also just screwing around. That's why I think you're seeing it on most of the ladder, because that is what shapes the meta in a lot of ways, is the big streamers, tournaments, and that kind of stuff. So when you go on to Savit's stream and he's playing a mill deck, and you go on to Forston's stream, he's playing Fatigue, whatever, that's what everyone goes, oh, okay, like, let me give that a shot. And, then Reynad goes on and creates it's straight up Cancer Shaman deck, and everyone goes, oh, okay, I'll do that then. Sweet. Someone finally figured that out. But that is what, kind of shapes it. And since like all the pros are still figuring all this stuff out, everyone's just kind of on that page, and the Reno deck thing, I think, has really kind of shaken things up, because when you have one-ofs, you can put in the one of your favorite card, right? You don't have to go with this, okay, there's always 2 of everything, so my deck is really consistent. No, now you can go in there and say, I think I'm going to take out this single, I'm not going to use Lotheb. I'm going to throw in this. And I'm playing a deck with Sideshow Spell Eater right now. And that's the Reno Dreadsteed deck. And I didn't even think of this idea until somebody else came up with it and posted about it and said, yeah, at a certain point, you just don't want to tap anymore. So you have this wasted hero power. But if you can steal the other guy's hero power, then you can actually have a hero power again, because you've tapped so much.
I was like, what does that card even do?
Yeah,
like,
see, nobody even remembers what it is.
Card,
yeah. But like at a certain point, you've just tapped too much, and you just don't want to, because your plan is to fatigue the other guy. So you really don't want to tap anymore. So what you do is you steal their hero power and do whatever that is for the rest of the game. And if it's Warrior and they've played Justicar before, you now have buffed Warrior hero power. You are now gaining 4 life a turn. Or
you steal the buffed power?
Yeah, you steal the buffed version of it. You steal whatever they have. Yeah.
I thought that you just stole like whatever the base class hero power was. That's so cool.
No, you steal what it currently is. Yeah. It's kind of insane and awesome. And since it's like a one of, it doesn't hurt your deck to have it in there, because you're not just, oh, I drew it too early or whatever. It's a really, really interesting dynamic that we've got now, just because of Reno Jackson, just because of that one card, and playing decks with one-ofs. I run 2 Dreadsteeds, because that card is like the important thing. It's the card that kind of makes the deck what it is, which is, once I get like 3 or 4 Dreadsteeds on board, I just constantly have this damage I can put out wherever I want. And then I just play 1 or 2 minions a turn and tap and heal and whatever. It's a really, really fun deck, and a lot of interesting, bizarre turns.
I got to see this deck list, man.
I linked it down below, and if you go onto my stream on, I think, Thursday, I was like laughing out loud playing Hearthstone. Like whether I'd been streaming or not, I would have had those reactions to some of the turns that ended up happening.
I love how how absurdly long deck lists have gotten, thanks to Reno.
It's so crazy. They need to do something about that.
It's like scroll, and I found the bottom. All right, here we go.
Well, Mitsula was in my chat, and he was like, yeah, you should call this the Concede deck, because everybody would just concede. At a certain point, everyone would be like, okay, I'm never going to kill your Dreadsteeds. You're just going to pick away at me forever. I'll just get out of here. And that's how I won half my games, I think.
Oh, man. I love it. Yeah, I spent a lot of dust on those guys when TGT first came out, because they just seemed so fun, and then the deck was horrendously inconsistent.
Yeah. Well, now with Reno, you've got with Reno and Reliquary Seeker, the 1/1 that turns into a 5/5.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of interesting things you can do at this point. So
yeah, Reliquary Seeker, super cool card. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, you need to have a pretty nice board state to activate it.
Yeah.
But
when you got things like Imp Gang Boss and Implosion and all of those types of ways to, and also think about what I gave Dark Peddler a bad rap, and I still stand by it being like a less good minion than some other 2-drops, but in specifically this deck, it's really good because you can play it on turn 3 and get another 1-drop to play, and then you have 2 minions on turn 3, right?
I am all about Dark Peddler this week. I straight up disagree with you. I love it.
Well, I mean, I stand by like the fact that a two mana 2/2. There's other ones that cheap mana, and this one doesn't. So that is whatever. That's what works. But so I wouldn't put it in like a standard zoo. I'd put it in this flood zoo. A standard zoo. I don't
that's
think
what
I'd
I'm using
I
it
think
in.
I would put it in. I'd still rather have like all the other 2 drops like haunted creepers and juggalos and all that kind of stuff. But in very specific decks, it really does work. It really does.
Yeah, super fun minion. But anyways, before we move into strategy, where we'll just continue talking about more decks, because that's all. That's just all I want to talk about this week.
That's what's going on right now.
That's exactly what's going on this week. There's like a couple minor esports happenings and whatnot, but really we're just waiting for DreamHack this upcoming weekend, and it's really more or less it. But before we do that, let's thank our patrons. You can head on over to patreon.com/TAC if you want to support the Angry Chicken. Becoming a TAC patron gives you access to the call-in shows, of which, by the way, I believe we're actually going to do ours because, again, Thanksgiving kind of messing up schedules. We're going to do ours for November, actually, on December 1st. So it'll be next, not tomorrow, but the following Tuesday. We'll be doing it then. There'll be a post up on the Patreon page if you want to call in. But anyways, this week we want to thank Daryl P., Austin M., Keen DVT, Philip S., and Eric P. Thank you guys so much for supporting the Angry Chicken. We really do appreciate it. Now, let's talk some more decks.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
So, it is the second week of, League of Explorers, and there's a lot of decks going around. The one I have not tried that is definitely on my list is the mid-range Paladin deck list that is going around. Part of the reason I've been staying away from it is I still have yet to crack myself a Justicar Trueheart, and I really want one, and I have enough dust, but I'm like, I have just enough dust. Is this the one card I want? So.
I bet you'd be fine just chucking a Sylvanas in though instead. I mean,
oh, I know, and
it's great to summon 2 1/1s every hero power, but it's still really slow to get there, and stealing a minion is going to be probably as good in the long run. But
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I usually run in my mid-range anyway.
Yeah.
But it just seems, it feels like, I don't know, you ever have that feeling? It's like everyone has one but me. I'm seeing it all the time, and it looks like so much fun, and I want it.
I feel like that happens to you with legendaries all the time, dude. You're just like, I really want to play, but I can't.
He doesn't get to play with all the toys.
No,
that's why you love the adventure so much. He was like, yeah, I get them. I get the same ones you guys get.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yep, it's a good time. Yeah, no, man, all the way back to vanilla. Remember, like all the druids running around with Cenarius, and like I don't think I got Cenarius until GVG came out.
Yeah.
And
what you gotta do, Gary, is you just gotta play all the time, and then you'll just have all the cards.
Well, yeah.
Tons and tons of arena until you have all the cards, and then you start playing.
Well, I'm canceling Into the Nexus next week. And
just do nothing but arena runs.
Only the Angry Chicken, and only gonna play Hearthstone. That's gonna be the only game in my life. I got married to Katie. Now I'm getting married to Hearthstone.
Nice. I mean, it is rough. I'm in the same boat. I got to play a bunch of heroes. I got to play WoW. I got to play the Hearthstone. But then now there's this Overwatch thing, and what the hell, man?
Dude, I have not gotten to play nearly enough Overwatch. StarCraft has also been an issue.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Been slowly clawing through, one campaign mission after the other, trying to see the end, but I just haven't had time.
Blizzard just hates free time. They don't want any of us to have any of it.
They do. God, do you guys remember like a few years back when it was just like, well, they're just not having a BlizzCon this year. Why not? Because they have nothing to announce. It'll be 2 years before another expansion for WoW, and that's really about all we expect from Blizzard. And now we're just sitting in this world where if you like Blizzard games, there's too much to play, which is weird. Looking back on kind of how things panned out for us, but. Anyways,
it is strange, especially like I didn't think that I'd be talking about like a Blizzard FPS. You know what I mean? Like ever. Like,
no, I'm
and how amazingly fun it is. Like without any progression or any like mode other than the ones like there's 3 maps. I literally played for 20+ hours over the weekend, and never once got tired of it. Like if I physically hadn't gotten tired, I would have just stayed up and kept playing. But physically, I was getting tired. And I was like, I have to stop.
Man, you're like taking me back to like Halo 3 launch party back in college. Like
I haven't had a game do that to me since, well, I guess Hearthstone. I guess Hearthstone was the last game that did that to me. But
yeah, we're gonna see Dills falling asleep at his in his desk chair again.
No, here's the deal: you don't fall asleep playing Overwatch. It's not the same. You're never waiting for somebody else to take a turn. You're always running around feeling crazy and intense. And
that's a good point.
Like,
hard to fall asleep when you don't really get a break.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like Hearthstone's a specific type of game that's why I would fall asleep, because I would lean back and watch the other guy do nothing for a minute and a half, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I'm out." Like you click play one too many times, and then you're just too tired.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the other decks that have been popping up. We've got Raptor rogues running around, which are basically death rattle rogues.
They're kind of everywhere.
The Unearthed Raptor copying death rattle effects.
Have you actually tried this deck yet?
I have not tried this deck yet. Rogue was pretty low on my excitement level, but I've heard from I think like 5 or 6 different people today who've been like, "Dude, have you tried Death Rattle Rogue yet?" So
I tried it. It's good. I played on my EU account because it just seemed like it was like a deck I could make with what I had on the EU account. There's plenty of Death Rattles that are decent enough. I didn't have that much luck with it until I put in Brann as well and kind of went like a combo-y, like so a Battle Cry and Death Rattle deck kind of. Like I think just the Death Rattles alone are a little too slow, and if you don't like, I would get into these fatigue games where I ran out of damage and like my value from these Death Rattles wasn't enough to get me over the top, right? So once I added in like some Brann with like the heal bots and the Azure Drakes, and you put in, when you put in the eggs, you also want to put in like stuff like Abusive Sergeants, so suddenly Brann would be good with those too. And also it actually double copies the Unearthed Raptor's Battle Cry and gives you double Death Rattle. So there's an interesting thing there too. That's when it started to kind of work. So I would encourage everyone to try that out. Brann Raptor. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know what you call it.
That sounds like the lamest cereal ever. Raptor Brann.
Raptor Brann. It's good for you. It was a cool thing when I kind of turned that corner. But yeah, I didn't think the Raptor alone was enough to make like a tempo-y rogue, sticky Death Rattle rogue work.
Yeah. We already talked a decent amount about the different aggro shamans that are coming out. We have links in the show notes to both Reynad's version of the shaman and the Luffy face shaman deck list that I mentioned earlier as well, which is a lot more overload dependent and has no mechs. So if you're like me and you hate mech shaman, maybe take a look at that one. But I'll listen to Dills and Jocelyn for once, and I think I'll give this a shot this week.
Yeah, you should try it. I mean, I went 9-1. I don't know. I don't think like I've also heard people say that it didn't work for them. So I don't know.
Well, the one that I played, that Luffy version with all the overload in it, and I found that like if you didn't get that really good opener, that it just really didn't work. I'd be really interested to see kind of more of a mech mixed in, like a whole bunch of different options. Because I found that like I played the Trog, and then on turn 2 I had some pretty good options, because there's like with the ancestral whatever it is that draws you the cards. Like if you could get that on turn 2, it was pretty good.
3/3. Yeah, but then your turn 3 just sucks, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
One mana on turn 3, and yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, so then I mean, like you have a couple of 1-drops. Like I think sometimes you drop a leper gnome, or you have more overload spells that do some damage, and lightning bolt, I think, or something does 3 damage.
There are lightning bolts in there. There's one Earth Shock. There's Rockbiter weapons. There's abusive sergeants, so you can buff existing minions.
Here's the thing, though. It's like if you play Tunnel Trog turn 1, the opponent probably plays something, and then you play Ancestral Knowledge turn 2, and you draw 2 cards, but you overload for 2, and you don't put any other creatures on the board, and you have a 3/3, and then it just dies to like their Sorcerer's Apprentice or their whatever, right? And
yeah. Well, you don't really want...
Then you don't have anything on turn 3, and you need turn 4 to like bring you back into the game, right?
Yeah, you don't really want ancestral knowledge in the early game, though. It's kind of for if the game goes a little longer than you may expect to keep the gas in the tank.
But it's just I'm looking at the deck and I'm like, okay, so I really want to do Trog into Totem Golem. That's like my ideal scenario. And then on turn 3, I want to have something like Knife Juggler or another Totem Golem or something like that, because you don't want to just be like toteming on turn 3. I think that's where like this deck, to me, I could see why this deck will be tough, because you have so many cards in the early game that overload you for more than one.
Well, and that's kind of, I think, the problem is that your opener relies on you overloading yourself really, really early on, and then you limit your options because you want to get that Trog out and then you want to buff it as soon as possible, and then it's just kind of like, well, now what? So I think, if they can deal with if they can't deal with your Trog, then this deck is just like you win in 3 or 4 turns. But if you're, if you can't make that Trog stick, then it's really, really tough to win. And I found like I was conceding when I had like 27 health in some cases, because I was just like, there's literally no win condition left.
You're like, I'm out of cards. And
exactly.
They're at 15, and I'm never gonna kill them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like as soon as somebody threw down some kind of like a heal bot or something, I was just like, well, concede, because I'm just never gonna get that 8 damage in. Like. Yeah. So I found that. Yeah, there were too many times with that deck where I felt like, I'm just there's no way I can win now, and it's like turn 5. So I need to I was conceding a lot, which is something that I don't normally do, but I was just like, this isn't fun. I find a lot of other decks where I'm like, I don't think I can win. I always still play it out because there's just like I'm either learning something, or there's a possibility that if I draw just right that I'll win, so I keep going. But with this one, I'm just like, nope. This isn't fun. Concede.
Yeah. I think the trick is to balance it out, right? When you're talking about an overload deck, you can't just like go all the way. And this kind of happens with every deck. Like when you first see something like, oh, I'll do Beast Druid, and then you just fill your entire deck with beasts and the like Druid cards that use them in an advantageous way, you just end up with a deck that does one thing and one thing only, and it has no wiggle room to play against different decks. And sometimes you might draw the perfect storm and you'll just crush somebody, but you just are relying on one thing working. And when that doesn't work exactly how you need it to, there's no backup plan. There's no plan B, So when your plan is to overload and that backfires, you're like totally screwed, because not only did like, oh, I overloaded for 2 and then they had an AoE that killed all my stuff, and now my next turn sucks and I'm way behind, So I think that's probably like why like a deck like Reynad's was working well for me, and this one might seem like it fizzles out, because it has 2 plans, right? It has the overload plan and the mech plan. And the mech plan actually kind of works against the overload plan, because things like Mech Warper actually discount stuff. So it almost makes it so like your overload didn't even matter. You still got a discount on the next turn. You played the same amount of stuff you would have played whether you're overloaded or not. It's kind of interesting dynamic.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I feel like
overload with mana cheating. You know what I mean?
I had games with Luffy's deck list where I didn't get Trog out on turn 1, and I was still able to kind of wrest control of the board and win, because there are 6 minions you can play in this deck that are 1 mana, and there are Knife Jugglers. So I had turns
that's
where
a big turn. Yeah. Plus Lava Shock getting the overload taken away, I bet is a pretty big deal.
Yep. Yeah. And this I don't know. I've seen bigger overload kind of all-ins. Like there's a lot of cards in, like there are no unbound elementals, which makes this not look like a kind of overload. I don't know, overly overloaded, as if I could turn that phrase. But I don't know. I think it's fine. But I also haven't tried Reynad's deck, so I'll give that a shot and report back next week.
Thing, because both of these decks I know. So Reynad's actual version didn't have piloted Shredders, and I noticed that Luffy's doesn't play any 4-drops either. And I know that a lot of the argument for that is I generally overload on turn 3, so on turn 4 I can't play a 4-drop anyway. But I found a lot of the times that I could find a way not to overload going into turn, or like I didn't have an option really to overload that was a good play on turn 3, and then on turn 4 I only had overload options if I didn't have a 4-drop, right? And then I wouldn't be able to play my Doomhammer. So I kind of disagree with both of their takes on the 4-drop thing. Just having a 4-drop like piloted Shredder was so good for smoothing it out to get to the Doomhammer. That I think that's correct. I think it's incorrect not to have that, honestly.
It's okay, but I mean, there will be plenty of games where you're overloaded anyway on turn 3.
True. But then I don't know. I felt like I usually had options anyway if I didn't. And when the turns when I did have Piloted Shredder right into Doomhammer were just like, okay, now I win. Like I went Piloted Shredder and Doomhammer. What are you gonna do now? You know.
I'm gonna cry and say that Piloted Shredder is broken.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I mean, like Doomhammer could deal with whatever they played, generally, and if they couldn't deal with Piloted Shredder, then I just went face with Doomhammer, and then they still had to deal with Piloted Shredder. So, you know, like suddenly it was like, okay, what do I do now? Do I worry about how I'm going to die to Doomhammer, or do I kill this Piloted Shredder, or what? What I don't even understand. You know, that kind of situation would arise quite a bit.
Yeah. I guess we talked a decent amount about the Warlock decks kind of earlier already, so I won't really go back into them. But there are links to many deck lists in the show notes. Head on over to emove.tv/TAC. Look for the episode 120 post for the show notes.
The only one we didn't really touch on was the Malylock thing, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, Malylock is back, but it's got Brann Bronzebeard in it.
Brann's Bronzebeard.
Yeah. Brann's Bronzer, which is a wonderful way to get tan.
It really does make sense in this deck, though, right? Because if you think about what the battle cries are with the dragon lock, when you can double up on a Blackwing Corruptor, when you can double up on an Azure Drake, a Twilight Guardian, a Twilight Drake,
an Anti-Keelbot,
really good. Those are all really good options.
Yeah, it was just a deck that already existed that people kind of forgot about, but had a ton of battle cries in it already. And it's just like, oh well, why not take one thing out and slot in Bronzebeard and see what happens? And it turns out that it works pretty damn well. I tuned into multiple streams. I was watching Savitz this morning playing nothing but this.
Yeah, and Dark Peddler fits incredibly well because getting another Soulfire, because you don't really want to run 2 anyway, but getting a Dark Peddler to have the option to get another one, or even a Mortal Coil with Malygos is just insane.
Yep.
So, you know, and those are pretty common to get. And even if you don't get that, if you get the Power of Overwhelming, that can also be pretty good too. So I think this is a quality deck that we'll see like in tournaments a lot.
I agree. That's the other thing I like. I've never had a Malygos, so I'm sitting here. I'm like, do I want Justicar Trueheart? Do I want Malygos? What do I want? I want one of these shiny toys, and I have enough dust for one.
Oh man, dude, so Malylock like is so fun. I really playing this deck a couple of months ago. I'm so excited when I was like. And I was like, oh, Malylock is back! Yes!
Yeah.
So excited.
I don't know why it ever really went away, to be quite honest. It's
I still
have my seems like a good deck. Yeah. It still seems like a good deck.
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah, I still have it sitting there, and I always look at it and I'm like, oh, I want to play you so badly, but you know, probably shouldn't. I have other more consistent decks, but man, is it fun. Like when it works, it's just so good.
Yeah. I feel like it might have just been that there was just too much aggro, and sometimes it doesn't draw what it needs to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now that aggro's gone away a little bit, it's like a combo deck that beats like Reno because you combo them from pretty high, you know?
Right. You just kind of blow them out.
You combo them down from like 19, and then they haven't Reno'd yet because they're at 19. They're like, I don't need a Reno. And you're like, yeah, you do, because guess what? Malylock, double Dark Bomb. Yeah, exactly.
Although chances are you've given away that you're running a Malylock deck by the time they're at 19. Chances are they've seen a dragon or two or a Blackwing Corruptor.
True. So then their option is play Brann at 19 and only heal 11 with it, and not die, but then maybe die later because you still get more minion damage.
Yeah, but I would argue
it's too late.
I would argue making sure you live longer to see if you can win the game is the correct play.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. But people try to get value out of Reno. I mean, I've seen people wait way longer than you probably should. Like I think you play it just the turn you think it's the most effective, regardless of how much it heals you. Just the turn that like turns around the whole health totals, right?
Yeah.
But people don't seem to do that. People are like, no, I'm gonna wait till I get down to 5 health. I'm gonna Reno Jackson and I'll be rich.
I need to heal for at least 20, otherwise it's a worthless card.
Exactly. That is how people think sometimes. It's kind of weird.
Well, before we move out of strategy section, let's talk about a little Brann science, because a lot of Brann Bronzebeard being played this week, and he has some pretty interesting interactions. So I guess let's start with the simple and move our way up to the why the hell does it work this way. So some of the more simple things, obviously, discover the newest keyword. It triggers exactly like you think it would. 3 cards come up, pick one. 3 more cards come up, you get to pick one. It just triggers twice. Nothing super fancy there.
That makes sense. Exact sense. That's what I would think it does.
Yeah. Joust also triggers twice. It's 2 completely different jousts, so you have double the chance to win. You might even get double the effect if the effect is stackable.
Oh, if you win twice, it happens twice?
If it's a stackable effect, yeah. If it's something like gain Divine Shield, there's no point because you do gain it twice, but it doesn't do anything. But if it's something that's additive that gives you like a +2 attack, you'll get double whatever the effect was if you win both times.
Makes sense.
But it does 2 separate jousts, so you could win one, you could lose one, you could lose one, win one, or you could win both or lose both.
Lose both, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, I am actually the most unlucky person ever. And then I just want you to go count how many legendaries from TGT you got and compare it to me and just realize that you're actually not the unluckiest person ever. Self-injuring battlecry minions. Your injured Blade Master. They'll kill themselves.
Yep. If you have 7 health, they deals 4 damage twice. So that's 8.
They just die.
That kills them.
They straight up die.
That's like I was actually thinking about this just for fun on the stream one of these days. I'm just gonna make a priest brand deck that's all about making the other guy go, "What? What is this guy doing?" So like it'll have all the combos. Like I'll have Akanai Reno, and I'll have Injured Blade Master, Brann Bronzebeard, and all that stuff, and just lose all ranks, but just make other people like laugh and say well played and stuff, just for the hell of it.
Nice.
I'll have Akanai heal bots. Like I'll do the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every terrible combo you can make, I'll have, and I'll just kill myself over and over again.
That would be a great April Fool's Day stream.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, for April Fool's Day, you just play a deck that just kills yourself. See, this is why I want like the sandbox thing though too, because I mean, I guess we could do it anyway. But if you made a deck where me and you played each other, or like me and Jocelyn played each other, and we just said, okay, the point now is to kill yourself, not the opponent. And like, you make a deck that kills yourself faster than the other guy, and the first one to kill themselves wins. Like, I want to play games like that, but I wish that I could like change the rules in the game to make them happen. You know what I mean?
Oh no! Shoot! I think we lost Joss.
Uh-oh. She may never be back, guys.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure she will be.
It was very like we were teetering on the edge as it was.
Yeah. I need to fix the overlay real fast. Yeah. So Jocelyn was trying to make it work on her phone, but she started to sound like a malfunctioning droid there at the end. So I'm not surprised. Well, if she adds back to the call, then awesome. If not, that I guess we'll just have to go it alone, Dills.
All right.
Just you and I. Moving on with some of the brand science, cost increasing or decreasing battle cries, like Lotheb's effect, for example. That stacks. That does trigger twice, and it does stack on top of itself, so you can lock someone out like crazy.
So it makes spells cost 10 more then. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We mentioned this, I think, at the BlizzCon episode, but stat swapping, like Crazed Alchemist or Vol'jin, it just does it twice, so you might as well not do it.
Yeah. Don't play those in your brand decks. He swaps it and then swaps it again.
Moving into some of the slightly more complex things. Battle cries that target one specific minion will trigger a second time on the same target. You do not get to select 2 unique targets. So,
which is what we asked Brett about at BlizzCon, because that wasn't clear immediately.
Yeah.
But they cleared it up then.
Yep. So,
so you don't steal 2 things. You don't buff like 2 things with Abusive Sergeant twice. You buff 1 thing for 4.
Exactly. Random effects like Mind Control Tech, they do trigger twice, but both triggers, it'll check for conditions. So, if you steal 1 minion with Mind Control Tech and then leave 3 or less minions, you won't steal another one.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I was concerned about that because I was like, if the first condition is met, will it just then do it again? but that doesn't make sense. Like they should have 5 minions on board for this to work twice.
Exactly, and that's exactly how it does work. It checks the conditions for both triggers.
Yeah. So. However, in a world where people are playing Dreadsteed decks and Flood Zoo decks, that's not hard to meet, honestly. I'm seeing tons of massive boards on both sides these days. So.
Yeah. Although, granted, you might just end up with some 1/1s, but it's something.
That's fine. You'll take 2 of them. That's pretty good.
Yeah. If it's a Dreadsteed, that's not a bad get.
This is a 6-mana combo. Play a 3/3, play a 2/4, steal 2 creatures from the other guy. That could actually happen quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. If this week's meta stays around for a while.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Although that'll never happen when you play against like Control Warrior or whatever. But I feel like right now, like that's worth like a 1 of in some decks.
Yeah. Multiple brands will not stack his effect. So if you Faceless Manip one or Mind Control the second one, his effect only happens once. Like you can't quadruple Battlecry effects or anything.
Well, doesn't his text say they happen twice? So it doesn't say it happens one more time, right? So
right, yeah, just happens twice, exactly.
Because like if it said, like there's cards that say, what is the card? What is the Maiden of the Lake makes your hero power cost 1? Mm-hmm. It doesn't say make your hero power cost 1 less, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not additive.
Yeah.
And then moving into some of the super weird interactions, stat increasing battle cries, like Void Terror, super strange. Like so, in the example of the Void Terror, if it's played with Brann on board, it will only consume the minions to the left and right once. So you're not gonna if there's more minions to the right and left after the first 2 are consumed, it won't happen a second time where it then consumes even more, but it will buff itself for double the stats that it consumed
of the first minions. That's really weird. That doesn't make sense. That seems like that's a bug to me.
Yeah, and Hungry Crab happens the same way.
Okay.
I
understand why Hungry Crab could get double the stats because you can't target, because Hungry Crab actually targets a Murloc. Right. So since you can't target something twice, I could see why it says, okay, you ate a Murloc, so you gain the stats. Oh, did you eat a Murloc? Yes, you did. So you gain the stats again. I could see that.
Yeah, but Void Terror,
see the Void Terror. It should take the first 2, then the next 2 come next to you, then it takes the next 2 and does that. That's how that should work.
That's how, in theory, that's how it should work. Now, granted, for the Warlock player, that's actually amazing.
Yeah,
like Void Terror plus Brann is now one of the better, the more valuable interactions you can have happen with Bronzebeard. But so
I need to try Brann in my. I don't have Brann in my Reno Dreadsteed deck, but I do have stuff like Void Terror.
Mm-hmm.
That means I can kill both Dreadsteeds on the side and gain +2/+2 for each one.
Yep.
Jesus.
It'll be a big Void Terror, and you'll still have your Dreadsteeds at the end of it.
Okay. Well, I feel like that's a bug, but all right.
Do you have a Baron Rivendare in your Dreadsteed deck?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful. Yeah. So the dream is Void Terror, your Dreadsteeds with Brann on, and also
Baron Rivendare, and make Baron, 4 Dreadsteeds come out, but kill 2
and assemble a Voltron of a Void Terror.
And then 4 Dreadsteeds, and I'd have a full board exactly at that point, and a 7/7, and a 1/7, and a 2/4. Jesus, that would be okay. That is the dream. We got to make that happen.
It'd be nuts. It'd be absolutely nuts. Echoing Ooze does not create a third Ooze.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't. It does not make a third Ooze. Echoing Ooze has this weird thing where it places a buff on itself the turn you play it.
Mm-hmm.
And it must be something about that buff, the way that buff functions, since it doesn't copy itself when it's played, even though it does say it is a Battlecry effect. It doesn't function the same way.
So I guess maybe it's what? No, this has to be a bug too, because if Brann is still on the board at the moment because the Battlecry is kind of weird. It's like it happens after a lot of other stuff, so it doesn't happen the moment you play it like most battle cries.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the battle cry happened
right
while Brann was on the board, so that should still trigger twice.
I agree, but it doesn't.
Okay, all right.
They
got to make these consistent.
Man. Yeah. There's been a lot of inconsistencies right now in Hearthstone, thanks to these new cards like Bronzebeard that have very unique effects on the game. And the final one, both these last two, the Echoing Ooze one that I just mentioned, the one I'm about to talk about, I would not have even found out if it wasn't for a video that Hearth had posted. So we have a link to it in the show notes, so everyone should go check that out. But they bring up this interesting kind of outlier as well, which is the Dark Iron Skulker, which reads deal 2 damage to all undamaged enemy minions. If you're not familiar with it, it triggers twice, which is awesome against Divine Shield.
But it won't trigger twice if it triggers the first time and everything then becomes damaged, right?
Correct.
The second time, everything will be damaged. Right?
Correct. Well, it's still technically triggering twice, but much like the mind control tech, it checks conditions.
Yeah,
both
and then it
both
just
times.
doesn't work the second time. Yeah.
Right. But in the instance of there being Divine Shield on anything, that's wonderful. Yeah. Unless it's damaged and has Divine Shield, but wouldn't help you in the first place anyway. Yeah. So that'll do it for brand science for this week. I'm interested to see if some of those things that we both seem to think are bugs will be fixed or messed with in the future.
Yeah, I hope so. I just want things to work the way they seem like they should when you read the card. That's all I really want, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you were playing Magic and you look at the card, okay, you send your emails. Now we've talked about Magic. And you like when you look at a card, like both players just kind of say like, "Oh, this is how this works." Mm-hmm. And if I was playing Hearthstone and me and you were playing, and I played Brann and we were playing like physical Hearthstone, and then I played a Void Terror, like me and you would both say like, "Okay, so it kills these two, then these two move over, then it kills these two."
Yep.
And like the fact that it like doesn't work that way is just so bizarre to me. Like,
or we would be in a tournament. And I would do that. I would play the Void Terror, and I would consume the first two. Then I would double up my stats and not consume the second two. And you would go, "Judge!"
And I'd be like, "Hey, wait a minute!" Yeah, exactly.
And the judge would come over and be like, "Hey, Garrett, you're a jackass.
Yeah,
kill those other two
I
things."
like the way that Hearthstone does this, where it just happens and like there's you can't really argue. Because I've had games of Magic where like I'm playing and the other guy's like, "Oh no, that doesn't work that way. No, you're dead." And I'm like, "Huh?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, because of this and that and the other thing. No, you're just dead." I'm like, "No, wait a minute. That doesn't make and like you get in this whole thing, but it's like, no, I play a lot of Magic. I know." And sometimes you get like can kind of get bullied into like things that probably shouldn't have happened the way, or you forget a trigger and then you don't get the bonus of whatever it was or something like that.
That happened to my buddy Ben at our Grand Prix last year because cons had just come out and some dude totally swindled him into a loss he shouldn't have had because he didn't understand how the mechanics work. And after the game, he figured out how it actually would have functioned, and he was super angry.
Yeah, because you're like, "No, I shouldn't have been dead. Yep. What the hell, man?" Yeah, I see this kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a really cool like infographic somebody made of all the Brann interactions, and I'm gonna try to find it, but I don't know where it is. But if I do, I will link it to everybody.
Yeah. Sweet. And we got the link to the Hearthhead one in the show notes here, which covers a lot of what we just talked about. But those last two were really interesting. Before we get into crazy game stories, let's thank Squarespace for sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. You can head on over to squarespace.com right now if you need to build a website. And if you use the code TAC, not only will you support the show, you will get 10% off your first order. So go do that because I use the crap out of Squarespace every day. I'll be using it later tonight to post this show. Yeah. They're a good sponsor. They treat us well. We thank them for their support.
Do you think they have anything to do with the fact that Lost in Space is about to get a remake? I feel like they do.
Well, I mean, according to Dill's logic, they have something to do with something that's sometimes related to what we just talked about and other times completely unrelated to what we just talked about. But according to your
logic... I'm pretty sure Squarespace is the sponsor for Lost in Space coming back. It's coming back to Netflix. And if they aren't, they should get in on that. And they should change the name to Lost in Squarespace. That's a big money-making opportunity right there. I think you get a lot of listens and people use your site a lot because of the Angry Chicken. How about the Lost in Space remake? Just saying. Just an idea, Squarespace.
Just to show how out of the loop I am, is that actually true? Are they remaking Lost in Space for Netflix?
No, this actually happened like today.
Oh, man. Sign me up.
Yeah. I saw it earlier today and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll remember that for when we talk about Squarespace.
Oh man, do you remember the one that came out when we were younger? The movie?
The movie, yeah. It was weird because it had like some good people in it, but it also had like Matt LeBlanc from Friends.
Yeah, because it had
hold on, let me see.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, it had Gary Oldman. That's
the
right.
Doctor.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, this looks awesome.
And I remember being a kid and being like, oh, it's the villain from Air Force One. He must be the bad guy in this movie too. And turns out he was.
Yeah.
Geez, that was.
Now I want to watch this again because I don't even remember like if I hated it or because I remember like being like, okay, it happened.
It was in 1998, so I was extremely young at the time. I remember really liking it, but I was a dumb child at the time. I can't remember much about the movie other than Gary Oldman.
Yeah, we're watching this. I'm watching this again. This is gonna happen. This is gonna happen.
Oh, chat room, leave us alone. Hyler says, when we were younger, says Garrett. It's like, oh, everyone who's older, like, than a day could technically say when I was younger. So
yeah, that's true. I think when you get to your late 20s, you're allowed to start saying that stuff.
There was definitely a point in my life.
In your early 20s, no, you don't get to. But. Once you're married, come on. You could say when I was younger.
I was going to pull that out. I'm like, you know what? I've mentioned marriage enough in the last 2 months.
I'll do it for you. I got your back, buddy.
Thanks, Tills. Thanks, man. Garrett's younger days consist of 2002 to 2014. I'm talking about 1998, Manny. Leave me alone. All right, let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our story today comes to us from Joe. And Joe writes, "Oh, hear my cries, overlords." Well, that sounds like it should be for StarCraft, not for Hearthstone. But anyway, he says, "'Tis I, Joe, an unworthy and forlorn follower of the foul Furiosa, come to weave for you a tale of such woe and despair, the likes of which I hope never befalls you in your noble quest to find your place amongst the season's legendary heroes." So, dear God.
I'm just going to sit back because this is going to get good.
The whole thing goes on like this. It's quite amazing.
Right.
Such honorable deeds that have taken place in the arena, the stories that we have been delighted by, and the champions we have been inspired by. I, myself, was one of those hopeful young lads, with a strong claim, having crafted a powerful rogue deck which I was sure to see me to at least 6 victories. So after several amazing battles, I was 5-2 and up against a paladin. After exchanging pleasantries, we crossed swords and pummeled each other with our minions and spells. Finally, many bloody turns later, the paladin had me on the ropes. He had a board full of low-health minions, with enough combined strength to end me, while I had only a few runts on my board. In my hand I held Sprint, some minion, and what I thought was the key to my salvation, Burgle.
Oh, yeah.
Hoping to root his victory with a consecration, I laid the burgle down upon the table. After the magic sparkly stuff had cleared, I looked to see what treasures my thievery had bought me. Lo and behold, the noble face is this that I see before me. Tyrion Crack-a-lackin' Fordring. I couldn't help but laugh at my ill-begotten luck. This card was exactly what I needed to win against my opponent, but of course in obtaining it, I was now 1 mana shy of being able to cast it. So, with despair in my heart and a slight twitch in my eye, I ended my turn and accepted my fate with dignity. Just kidding, I pulled the LAN cable out of the back of my laptop. Wow, Joe.
Twist ending there.
The
You just got Shyamalan.
I did, and you know what? It was better. It was better than the majority of Shyamalan's movies.
Actually, the Shyamalan twist would have been like, but then I realized in the back of my pocket was a coin, and then you're like, oh, and then he played Tyrion and he won. But oh well.
No, the Shyamalan ending would have been, and then I realized I was Tyrion the whole time.
Try hard email, says somebody.
Oh man, I loved it. I loved it, Joe. The role play is strong with this one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I
mean,
it.
look, if you want to get your email of the show, this is one way to do it. I think
Definitely.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I felt like a little Fred Savage, watching my grandfather read me the tale of a young prince or princess and a farm boy and a giant and a sword fighter. Anyway. But instead, it was just this guy playing Arena.
Yep. Yeah. All right, let's take a couple emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Once again, send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Gene Gabriel, who writes, "Dear you guys, love all you do, world peace, etc. How do you guys manage to watch esports tournaments? Is there something I missed? I tried watching the Hearthstone qualifiers and America's Championship and the WCS. All these events take place over 48 hours. Since I have a life, it takes me about 2 weeks to catch up and watch the whole thing. That would be fine, except the Hearthstone launcher spoils the results the next day. Also, the tools to watch are terrible. I would agree, Gene Gabriel. Yeah. They are very bad. YouTube playlists spoil everything since the titles are shown, i.e. you see which player goes through. Then there is Twitch. Say you want to go back to the beginning of the day. You load the Hearthstone channel. It auto starts playing the current match. You get spoiled. Regular sports tournaments are watchable because there is a game every few days. Playoffs are fun because you can follow along. You can watch all the things even if you have a life. An esports tournament goes like this. No games, no games, no games. All the games now! Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. No games for a year. Disagree with that. But is there a system? What?
I said almost. It can feel that way, I'm sure. But
yeah. Is there a system I'm missing to watch these things correctly? How do you guys do it? Websites and Twitter spoilers are fine and easy to avoid. I'm only talking about spoilers right in the tools used to catch up. Thanks.
Well, I don't watch all of it. I generally watch what's on when it's live, and then I look back and see who won whatever match.
Yep.
And then and if it's something that I really wanted to watch the match, and I don't want to, if I want to avoid spoilers, there's actually a Reddit. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called Hearthstone VODs. Is the subreddit where I think they list them in like a non-spoiler way, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm gonna confirm that, but they may not put them all in there. But in the past, when I've seen them, they give them to you in a non-spoiler like list. So let's see. Yeah, they've got like links that don't show you anything. And then game 2. Okay, well, I guess it kind of spoils it because then you go to get day 2 and you can see who's in. All right, maybe not perfect, but something. It's something. Oh, no, look, they do a good job. They say winner of H1 versus winner of H2. Okay, they do a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they start putting them in like finalist 1 versus finalist 2, and you don't see until you get there. So, okay, there's a way. Go to the Hearthstone VOD subreddit.
So it's just HearthstoneVods.reddit.com?
Yep. Hearthstone VODs, all one word. And it's yeah. There you go.
So that's one way to do it. I would, and I'm with you, Dills. I don't watch everything. It's kind of impossible. I mean, Gene Gabriel, the way you're kind of putting it, I have to ask you, are you an NFL fan? Do you watch literally every single game of the NFL leading up to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, you just watch your team, and then you watch ESPN and see the highlights.
Yeah. Now, I would agree that a lot of esports tournaments tend to pack a lot in to a whole day, which I don't necessarily isn't really my cup of tea. I would prefer it spread out a little bit more, and this is what I liked so much about the GSL back in the early days of StarCraft 2 esports.
Yeah.
Because it was like one group a night. For 4 days a week, and then you'd have the next round of 16 the following week, and then you get down to the actual round of 16, and round of 8, and you'd only watch 4 players play in a smaller, maybe 3-hour chunk. So it was more like watching like a Monday Night Raw kind of thing, and it was digestible. But
that sounds amazing. I think the trick is that sometimes they're doing these tournaments and they're inviting players to come, and they're doing it live, and it's like. That's not an option, right? You gotta just do the whole damn thing.
Well, exactly. It's an international affair, and we're not you can't have players from China and Korea and Europe all come and stay in a location for a full season so that you can produce it. You can roll it out slower and produce it nicely and have it in more digestible chunks. So unfortunately, it's you kind of just have to find a way to watch it that works for you. And I'm very much in the similar boat as you, Dills. Like if it's on live, I'll just catch whatever I can happen to catch when I'm not busy.
And then I'll look at later if I missed the ending, and I'll see what happened. And whatever. You don't have to watch every single moment of every single Hearthstone game. There's a lot of stuff that's happened. It's a long time.
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I've kind of just made peace with the fact that I'm going to be spoiled on the majority of these things. The only time, if for whatever reason I can't catch a finals, I'll keep that. I'll find a way to keep myself spoiler free. Stay off Twitter. Don't read Team Liquid, whatever it is. Because it's pretty easy to find the finals of a tournament. Even if you're looking at a 4-hour Twitch VOD, it's probably the last hour.
Yeah, you just got to click through. And what you can do, too, is you can, as you're loading the Twitch thing, because he was talking about, on the same day it starts like live and then you can't go back. Well, just as it's like loading, just pause before it ever loads, and then go back. Like you can do that. It's got to be quick. But I do think he makes an interesting point, which is that if you're someone trying to watch this stuff, it is like a lot of stuff to consume all at once. It's hours and hours and hours, and this is kind of the problem when you talk about a lot of different things. Like say like the World Series of Poker final table was 3 straight days of long days to whittle 9 guys down to 1, right?
Right.
And only the hardcorest of hardcore poker fans actually sat there and watched the whole thing. But what makes it like available to everybody to kind of enjoy is that then you go into like ESPN and they're showing the last hand, and it's a big deal. And we don't really have that with esports yet, where there's like some channel that has a talking head and then shows you the highlights of whatever tournament it was and all the different types of games and all that kind of stuff. So we are missing that when it comes to esports, and that will happen once there's enough money, I think.
Yeah, I'm
interest in people watching it, right?
This is one of the reasons I'm one of the things I'm the most interested about with this TBS Counter-Strike League that's launching next year. I'm not the biggest Counter-Strike fan in the world, but I'm interested.
Neither, but it is. Yeah.
I'm interested in the production, how they're going to how they're going to tell this story, and break this up and make it work for television, because there might be some really great lessons learned.
Yeah, highlights and stuff. We need to have significant highlight reels where we can watch the biggest moments of all these tournaments that we've missed. So then when it's time to watch like the fresh live finals or whatever, we've kind of consumed all that stuff in a more digestible package that then like that's exciting to us, right? So it's tough for me to watch Counter-Strike because I don't play it, right? And it's tough for me to watch even like Dota, which I have played, or League I've played, but I haven't played enough to really understand what the hell all these heroes are doing. But like Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, I get it. I've played enough. I watch it and I know, right? But you can present that to people. You can show people that in these kind of highlight packages, and that's what we don't have at this time. So now if someone can make enough money doing it, then it will happen, and I hope that's soon because it would be cool.
It's something I've wanted to do, but trying to edit all that kind of stuff down is not something one guy can do.
No, you need a budget, you need a team, and and maybe one day we'll be a part of something like that, and we can bring things like that to you guys, at least in like one form or another. But for right now, it's like someone just needs to have. I thought ESGN was gonna. Was that what it was? ESGN?
Yeah,
the one that Frodan came from.
Yep.
I thought that was like they were kind of trying to do that, right?
Yeah.
After the fight nights, what happened? If I continue to watch, they'd be like, oh, and then in StarCraft this happened, and this happened, and I was like, yes, here we go. But then it turned out that the company was kind of shady. So
it was kind of going under.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
I love that you brought up the Counter-Strike thing and the Blizzard Activision stuff where they're jumping in and having their own division. We're going to see this, I think, because now there's going to be a lot of money piped into this, and they need content in between the tournaments, and this is the perfect way to do it, I think. So
I think so as well. And I mean, I wasn't bringing it up because it sounded like Gene Gabriel wanted kind of a spoiler-free example. But if you do want these catch-up mechanics, you want these highlights. I mean, there's not all that many flashy videos going around, but there's plenty of articles out there. You've got Daily.Esports, you've got Team Liquid, you've got Gosu Gamers, and plenty of others that I don't feel like sitting here and ranting down a list of, where you can go see articles that will catch you up before the big finals. It'll tell you the story if you don't have time to go see the entire story unfold before your eyes, which is really hard to do. I don't have time to do that.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's got stuff to do, and a lot of people have stuff to do. So Hearthstone VODs until then, man.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely. Who's our next email from?
This comes from Justin, who says, "Dear Angry Chicken." So we are now just one single entity, the Angry Chicken.
We have become one.
Yes. First time, long time. What do you think of a tournament similar to the early matches of SC2 Pro League? Essentially, it'd be bring 4 decks, and before each match, you tell a judge what order you're going to play them without knowing your opponent's order. This would be a bit similar to the latter experience since you can't counter deck like in Last Hero Standing. First to 3 wins is the winner, and if it goes to 2-2, there's an ace match where a player picks one of his already used decks in the final match. Let me know what you think. Thanks for the show. this is an interesting idea, and I think I would love to see tournaments of all sorts of formats. And I think this would be one that would be kind of fun. Coming up with your order would be really interesting. I think you'd have to know what the other guy has and then try to figure out what you think they may play and then have something like that. But it's kind of like picking the maps or whatever, right?
A little bit, yeah. Or like going up against a team format in StarCraft as well. You don't necessarily know the order in which the players will be coming out, which means you don't know the order in which races you'll be fighting.
Yeah. Now, of course, if this happens, there's going to be some times where it's kind of RNG where you just get bad matchups the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to kind of suck and no option to really
Correct
counterplay. Yeah. So I could see that being a big drawback of something like this. But like I said, I would like to see lots of tournaments of lots of different formats where you're never seeing the same thing over and over again. And, we've talked about the single deck format that we'd like. I'd like some sort of massive conquest-y thing with bans. And then I also like the last hero standing stuff. I just want all of it to be constantly happening. So it's always different every time I'm watching Hearthstone. But this sounds like a cool idea. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm definitely in the same boat as you as far as your concerns about seeing just bad matchups for a whole series. But
yeah, it's like this guy played better but lost because he constantly was up against a bad matchup. Like that would kind of suck.
Yeah.
But there's no way to 100% fix that, is there? I mean, just because of the way okay, when you watch here comes the Magic talk again. When you watch a Magic tournament. Sometimes you just bring a deck that's bad for the meta, right? And you lose because of that. So even if you play your deck perfectly, oh well, I can't win. And that's just kind of how a card game is going to work. So is there a perfect way to ever fix that where it's always going to come down to the guy with the best deck and the guy who played the best, or not the best deck, but the guy who played the best? I can't think of a way. I don't know. Maybe Garrett, you could think of it.
Well, I would argue that that's what Conquest tried to do, and as you can see, it's not a perfect system. There's an issue with Conquest that kind of kind of kills creativity.
Yeah, it actually has a negative effect on what the product that we end up watching.
Yep.
Because we only see homogenized decks, and that kind of sucks. So I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know what the perfect way is, but I think what we want is all the different ways to be represented so that it becomes more apparent what that best way is.
Yeah. So, anyways, final email, which is actually more of a tweet, came to us from Manny, our boy Manny. He wants to know if we think it'd be a good idea for Blizzard to allow players to craft card backs with dust.
Oh. Well, I heard something about card backs you've missed may become available to you in another way.
Ooh.
And maybe that's a dust or gold or real money type of situation. But I think that would be the way to do it, is allow players to craft card backs they missed, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't get to rank 20 because I came to the game later, and I can use my dust to just craft a card back if I want.
That's the only way I can really see it working. I could see people getting kind of bent out of shape if it was real money, and I don't see anything wrong with another gold or dust sink.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it too, being real money or this, as long as there's a way to do it where it's, again, it doesn't really matter. It's cosmetic in the end when you think about it, but this was offered just to people for free at some point. So to then suddenly say the only way to get it is real money is, I think, what would be the problem. But to allow people to have card backs for real money that you could also earn for free, I don't think anybody would really care that much because it's a card back.
Yeah.
If you want to have it, yeah, man.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it's not going to have a huge effect on the game. Although neither were custom or pay for player or new hero portraits, and people lost their minds in a negative way over that. But
yeah, but that's something that you can only get that way. And when you could have gotten it for free if you'd just been playing at a certain time, I think that makes that a little different, right?
I'm just poking fun at what people get kind of angry about. It's
I'm sure no matter how they implement any new thing, people will be pissed about it. That's just how the world works, man.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree. No,
they're we've given you everything for free, and you're this stupid game. I can't get it. I can't be better than that guy by earning stuff. All right, I'm not playing it. Someone will be pissed about how they got everything for free.
Well, it would kind of kill the progression of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Would give me a reason to
do my
dailies.
Overwatch, man. That progression, that game sucks, man. There's no progression. But no, it doesn't suck. It's awesome.
No, it is awesome. I will say that the solo queue experience though has a lot to be desired without a progression mechanic though.
Yes. And you know what? There will be one. I'm pretty sure there will be one. But you should watch Total Biscuit's video about Overwatch. He made some really interesting points about progression mechanics and why they're not always like the best thing for a game.
Oh,
because then the game becomes like a grind.
Oh yeah, no,
it could have just been super fun the whole time.
I'm not arguing that, but you know, if Overwatch just stays as it is, you know, it's boring. At least I find it boring without my friends, because
I can see that.
There's really no personal goal for me to have.
Yeah. No, I could see that. I wouldn't even say boring. I would just say frustrating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you go without your friends, and it's like you just don't feel like you're strategizing. There's just a bunch of dudes randomly running around shooting people. Like, yeah, I could totally see that. But if you have something where you're like, all right, I got to get 500 headshots with Hanzo, and then I'll earn like his master skin, then that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, something like that. But
yeah,
there's got to be something. It's a Blizzard game. Hopefully, it's more interesting than just portraits. I'm looking at you, StarCraft, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, please, no, just portraits.
Lamest thing ever. Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thanks again to our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. Thanks to those of you who are leaving us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Really appreciate those. This week, thank you to Spider9080. Thank you to Krubal, who said the show is cluckin' fantastic. Thank you to Dragon Rider DK, Judgment 6, and a guy named John, who said Diet of Fire Trolls.
Okay.
Yeah.
That guy hates trolls.
Yeah.
That's like the trolliest way to troll trolls, right? To say the thing that they all say. Die in a fire.
Yeah. Wonderful. The Angry Chicken can be found on amove.tv and youtube.com/amovetv. Thanks to our Patreon producers, Declan H, LVE, and Barry Scott L. You can get our t-shirt over at slashloot.com. We're on Twitter at TAC Podcast, on Facebook /amovetv, and on Reddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Catch us live Monday nights starting next week at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We are changing our time earlier in the day. Hope to see some of your European listeners over there. We're going to be on twitch.tv/amovetv. We're also on alphageekradio.com. And thanks to BrianGriffithMusic.com for our intro music. Dills, where can folks find you?
Check me out. I'm on Twitter at Willie Dills and streaming twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. The stream is now starting much earlier and is pretty much daily. So you'll see me pretty much every day, somewhere around like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, depending on when I get done eating food and, not looking like a total bum. So check that out. And the instance on Fridays, World of Warcraft, and Stormcast on Mondays now.
I'm gonna take
Although
that.
not tonight.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. No Stormcast tonight because they did a show Friday. So, yeah, it was good. I wasn't there, though. But you should still check it out.
Nice. Very nice. Follow Jocelyn on Twitter at JossPlays. Check her out on the Gamers Inn, which is on amove.tv. You can follow me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'm also at nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. I'm on Into the Nexus, talking Heroes of the Storm. We're actually doing our episode early this week because of Thanksgiving. We'll be doing it tomorrow. And I'm on The Angry Nerd, talking to myself. Check it out at amove.tv/angrynerd. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsors, squarespace.com. Code to use is TAC. It gets you 10% off on your first order. That's going to do it for this week, guys. Again, no Brawl episode this Thursday because Dills and I, at least, will be stuffing our face, and Jocelyn will be on an airplane.
An earlier show next weekend from then on.
Yep.
So remember that.
5 p.m. Eastern. Twitch.tv/amovetv. I will try and update the website before next Monday. But until then, job's done.
Job's done. Job's done.
Yeah.
Yes!